Good morning, one and all. We start with a photo of Tony smiling. The real Tony is unavailable for comment. Chris B is delighted at the thought of everybody getting a small piece of Thomas Frank to eat before the Sunshine Tours bus arrives. We are where we are. I'll get the ball rolling. I did a piece on the Substack yesterday, maybe, or the day before, I can't remember, saying Frank has to go. And why the change of tune? Well, I'll tell you. It's not a change of tune if you can speak English and understand the words I've said. I chose my words very carefully. We need to apply as much pressure on ENIC as possible, and that means they get sent back to the drawing board, which is the naughty step of football. This isn't working. It isn't working because of a situation they have created. They have, to use the phraseology, which is permeated everything we seem to live and do these days, from making sandwiches to buying a cup of coffee. They have crafted this situation with their own sweet hands. I read an interesting piece online yesterday from Kevin Mills, who is a continuously excellent contributor to the Spurs Show's Facebook page. They are all about building. They're all about building. And each and every one of you little suckers out there who's been patronising us, talking about building and patience, you've been played. You've been played like a little flute that a child would get for Christmas. You blow in one end and it just comes out. So you've been played. You've been mugged off. All they're building is more and more hotels and property and blah blah blah. Anything that isn't any good is what they're doing. So that's where we are. How long do you think we've got, chaps, before Mr. Frank is thrown under the bus? Chris?
He should have been thrown under the bus already. And H, it's nice to see you've come around to my way of thinking.
No.
I'll get you excluded from the Mystic Society of Brotherhood. Had you not come round to that vision.
No, you see, this is where we need to pay very close attention to words. I want him thrown under the bus, not because of his managerial ability. I think that's irrelevant. I don't think the Pope, I don't think the risen Christ could help us. It is because ENIC are nitwits. So I agree with you, but for totally different reasons. And I hope that's clear. I respect your reasons. They are your reasons. They're wonderful reasons. They're cuddly. I would adopt them if you fell under a bus yourself. But they're
the best reasons. The best reasons in the world. They're the best reasons that I do best reasons.
The best reasons. We have more reasons than anybody else, and they're all superior and wonderful. Thank you.
But getting back to your original question, I think it's been said that failing to act is worse than doing nothing at all. And that's what they're doing. They should have been decisive. They should have come up. He'd lost the fans away at Brentford in previous games. Then there was the debacle at who was it? Bournemouth last week.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, we simply failed to turn up in the first half. And we've seen that 6 or 7 times. And when you've got 9,000 Aston Villa fans singing Thomas Frank, he's an Arsenal fan, and then following that up with you get sacked in the morning. He's run his marathon. His days are near. And if Vinay actually understood football or knew football, there'd be a contingency plan in place, because any billion-pound asset has business continuity processes that follow. But we're such a shambles. We are such a pathetic excuse of a football club. With any meaningful management or any strategy, they'll just do the easy thing, which is to do nothing at all and hope that they can get away with it. So will he be there for the West Ham game on Saturday? Yeah, I guess he will. If we lose that West Ham game, should he be marched out of Tottenham with a pitchfork? Absolutely. Will he? I doubt it. I think they still long for Maurizio Pochettino to return in the summer as the saviour and the hero, but we've been there before. We know how that finishes. But they're just completely unqualified to run a football club.
I agree. Yeah, they are completely unqualified. Frank, to me, I wouldn't say he's a patsy. I don't think he's got everything right. Equally, I don't think he's got everything wrong. I think he looks disturbingly unsettled in his press conferences. The eyes have gone. Reminds me of the old line from Get Carter. Still the same, Jack. Eyes like piss holes in the snow. And he doesn't look well. And that's what happens at Spurs when the going gets tough. Tony, what are your thoughts on this unfurling disaster?
I warned you in the chat, didn't I, beforehand, that I can't speak about Spurs or think about Spurs without swearing. So this is going to be very challenging, to say the least. Just going back to your point, Chris, about big business having contingency plans. Yes, totally agree with that. They don't consider the football a big part of their business, which is why they don't fucking care. So that's why they don't have contingency plans, because they don't understand it. They don't understand the business. They don't care. As far as Frank is concerned, I reckon he's got till the end of the month, unless things dramatically improve. He'll go. I agree with you, H. He's not a patsy. I know he hasn't got things right, but I still would like to have seen him have a bit more time and have a bit of a coherent backup. But that's not going to happen, I suspect. And my overall thoughts are: fuck ENIC, fuck Vinay, fuck Johan, and everybody else is concerned with that football club, because they're all, well, I won't say the word, but it begins with C and ends in S.
I think it's interesting to, from a perspective of adding flavour to the pot, that Paratici has clearly bailed. I read a piece this morning that his wife is homesick, but then you look at that against the reality of, and I know things are difficult or perhaps more challenging, to use your sort of terminology there, in Italy, and he's taking on a position with struggling Fiorentina. We've all been there when the woman has got a stick up her bottom and you can't ignore complaints and requests. But that said, the business of, the fact that he's going to leave supposedly a big side like Spurs, go to Fiorentina, I think he's fallen out with Lang. And I think a guy in his position, his role in the business, is that he is simply not being taken seriously. And it's the same ENIC that employed the same tactics, the same boxing positions as Daniel Levy imposed upon everybody, which is, yes, thank you for your feedback, but we're going to do what we want to do anyway. And for Paratici, he will have, systems in place, shall we say, to put it straightforwardly, whereby he gets paid a commission on players that he produces. And if they ignore his selections, he hasn't got a job, because the basic money is not what he's looking to earn. He's looking to earn the money plus the add-ons. So without commission, he's not going to be interested in taking part. So I mean, look, for me, it's an open and shut case. The reason I held back, as I say, is I have no love for Thomas Frank. Equally, I have no massive disdain for him. The business with the coffee cup, yeah, what other fans say, who gives a damn? I don't even give a damn what our own fans say, let alone what other strangers say. They're all strangers. I have a very simple Venn diagram for my life, and there's us in the middle, and I shared this with my business partners at the pub the other day, and outside there's another circle and the word rhymes with punts. We have only ourselves. Together we are stronger. We ignore other people, and we're focused on making money and acting in a morally and ethically upright manner, hopefully, while we do so. And everybody else, down the road a piece, not interested. So I think that's the deal. I'd love him to stay on. I'd love him to be backed, but I don't think they're capable of doing it. And we're seeing that we've got this 19, 17, 8-year-old child from Brazil coming in. Well, guess what? I don't care. There we go. What, we 9 minutes in, and that's your first I don't care from me. He isn't going to save us. He's a child. He's probably shaving, and that's about all we can say about him.
I posted a couple of snippets in the chat group that we maintain. Firstly, there were murmurings coming out from Paul O'Keefe last night, H, that Paratici's actually found himself a new skirt, and he's doing that thing we're all guilty of, where we are sniffing the new smells, and we're doing everything possible we can to pursue that young lady. So it's
acting like a dog.
Yeah, so he's like a rat up a drain pipe. He's more focused on drinking from the Velvet Cup than drinking out the Tottenham Bovril Cup. So,
well, at least we're committed to excellence as a global brand. Yeah. I mean, that was my immediate concern. That those two big phrases wouldn't be on the
That's the other two bits. It's ironic, isn't it? When you go to the Tavistock group and you go to their publicly facing webpage, the first thing you find is committed to excellence. Well, that's so far from the truth, it's unreal. And then when you look at their three biggest accolades, one is the Nona development out in Florida, another is one of their state-of-the-art golf courses. In the middle of that is Tottenham HOTSPUR, globally recognised football club. Tottenham is one of the world's most recognised football clubs with a global following of millions. Both its men and women's squads are comprised of multinational, world-class talent. Okay, show me competing in the Premier League and the Women's Super League.
Who wrote that? Jamie Redknapp?
This is what it returns to. For a company that are so successful, allegedly run by clever people, they are doing everything they can to absolutely harm the brand, reduce its value. And if they're not careful, we're sleepwalking into disaster where all those claims, which aren't evidenced, become further from the truth. So bright people have to bring in people who can advise them accordingly. Clearly, these people don't have a clue about football, probably don't have any interest in it. They're more worried about generating income. But if they don't play this right, heading into that iceberg.
What we have here is a failure
to communicate.
I thought I'd get that one in there.
I don't need your silver wool.
I didn't do it. I don't care. But what we have here is a situation where accountants and spreadsheet wallers are running the club. And that is the reason why we are going so far down the slippery slope that at this rate, we'll be picking up so much speed that we'll find ourselves not only in a relegation battle, but in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
With the threats, with that being an imminent threat. And people who laugh at that say, oh, no, we won't because there's 3 other clubs that are worse than us. It don't take much for 1 or 2 other clubs just to suddenly win one or 2 games. And before you know it, we're right in it. So I'm not having that. We a lot of people, what is really noticeable on a lot of Facebook pages, have your say pages on BBC, blah, 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 is a lot of people really absolutely going to town on us for claiming that we're not a big, they're saying, oh, they consider themselves a big club. And I said, well, that depends on your measure of what a big club is. A big club to me is someone who consistently wins trophies year in, year out. That's a big club. We are a big club in terms of finance. It's been proven, 8th in the Deloitte World Money League. That makes us a big club financially. In terms of actual football, ambition, recent history over the last 40 odd years, we're nowhere near a big club. We're not even remotely on the fucking radar for that. So let's get that sorted out. And as far as I'm concerned, until this lot are either gone or we get proper football people in who know what football actually means, then we're doomed. This is the history doomed to repeat scenario, just absolutely gone run amok.
No, couldn't agree more. Until ENIC, you see, the problem is, and I've said this, and the moment you talk in the way that I do, a lot of people stick their fingers in their ears, okay, which is fine, because guess what? I don't care. But the reality is, if you don't step out of your LinkedIn bubble, and other phrases are available, there are other people who speak in a very limited, measured, calculated, but fundamentally not very interesting way. But the moment you fail to step out of your LinkedIn bubble and you're wandering around in your little polymix suits and you're doing your little handshakes and you're doing your little dance and you're saying, oh, yes, that was most enjoyable and all the rest of it, and speaking like a mental patient, if I'm totally honest, then you are condemned. You are absolutely condemned. They don't see what we see. They don't think like we think. And that is one of the things that they're very proud of. If you ask them, how do you think? They will tell you in some specious Mickey Mouse version of English that they think on a more sophisticated and advanced era, thinking of blah, blah, parameters, blah, blah, can't speak properly. So people who want to get on in this life will never succeed near them or around them.
What I don't understand, and please, as enlightened gentlemen as you are, is that why would you recruit someone on a salary of £8 million per year and then do absolutely nothing to support them and then pay them off when they don't achieve any form of success in 6 months to a year? That to me is absolute business bollocks. It really is unbelievable.
That is football, I'm afraid, Tony, the only industry where you are rewarded through failure.
I know. But even so, Chris, even that we take that, we know that's the case. But the point is, we know that's the case. They know that's the case. Yet they still do it. I mean, I don't understand how these people claim to be such astute business people, etc.
But
when they're
you see that
completely doing the same thing over and over again.
I just shared with you another thing that's coming out, that they're worried of severing ties with Frank because of the cost to them of getting rid of him. Well, you don't pay somebody the full amount of their contract when they leave the door. They remain on the payroll and they're on gardening leave. And if they want to seek employment in the future, they sever their existing contract with you. So that's absolute nonsense. If you want to get rid of somebody, you get rid of them, specifically when you've got a market cap of Tottenham have of something like £10 billion. So that's just absolute nonsense. If they want to get rid of him, he'd have gone. What it is there's no contingency plan. They have no idea who they're going to bring in as an interim manager. They have no idea who's making all the decisions there. And the best thing they could do is get on the blower to David Pleat and Harry Redknapp. Go and get proper footballing men just for the short term to get you to the summer where you can reevaluate and go again. But at the moment, they're just digging a deeper and deeper hole for themselves. Here's a couple of examples. You sell Brennan Johnson, a few weeks later, Kudus runs himself into the ground. He's now out for 3 months. Where's the replacement? There isn't one. At the weekend, Bentancur is now confirmed. He's got a hamstring tear, needs surgery. It will be 3-month recovery time. He might miss the World Cup. Where's his replacement? Richarlison, our goal scorer, leading club's goal scorer, pulled up the weekend with a pulled hamstring. Where's his replacement? And don't for one moment say it's right as Solanke's back. He played a number of minutes. He could be operating at 30-40% for all we know. So again, you put all your eggs in one basket and you've just dropped that basket. The whole approach to how we manage our squad is just absolutely ridiculous. And that all sits with Vinay and Lang, facilitated and enabled by ENIC. Actually, let's refresh it. Let's call them the Lewis family, just so we're blinded to think that things have changed. They haven't. We've been here before. We'll be here again until they go or we get competent footballing people in.
Penny wise, pound foolish rings to mind. That's just a phrase I can think of here. Penny wise, pound foolish. Just don't give. They don't see anything other than that. I don't see it.
I would just throw one thing into the mix, which I've said before, so it's not groundbreaking. But I think they actively despise. They actively look down their nose at football, which is why they are so keen. And I'm going to go over the same stuff again. So if you don't like it, nice talking to you at home. But this is why they're so keen to embrace all this stuff that normal, ordinary people who haven't been dropped on their head, hypnotised or otherwise, don't care for. Like that stupid flag in the corner.
Yeah.
Which isn't about me being a bigot. It's about chest binding and experimental drugs and surgery on children. That's what that flag is about. That's not about coming together and being inclusive. That's making sure everybody nods and bows and genuflects towards something they don't really understand, but they don't want to be called a nasty word. This is why they're so keen to enforce all of these stupid things. And this is why they've done so well in the Deloitte Money League. Because as I say, it's not just about the money. The big component parts of that are about how your business operates. And this is why Daniel Levy was rewarded with a gong. Because he's fitted into the stereotypical bubble for a CEO operating out of the capital city of this country. So there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of dismantling to be done. I believe we will get there in my lifetime, but I think I'll be even greyer than I am now. But I genuinely think they look down their nose at football. And I think, at the risk of speaking to our little safe space here, I think they find white heterosexual men a massive, massive red flag. This is very gammony, the three of us, isn't it? Look, 3 different shades of white. Ew. Nothing they're going to say is going to be very helpful, is it? No. Let's get a woman with one leg in, because that'll help us, preferably an African.
Good job. We're so diverse in the Barnet Stakes, and Tony's sporting the solar panel. You've got the I've got a full head of
You've got a what?
A full head of non just for men hair.
Well, first of all, as we're speaking about stereotypical slandering of people, I'd just like to say I'm pleased to see Abby Grace Summers back. And because she's got a pair of tits, everybody's forgotten what a massive racist she is. I saw a video of her doing the other day on X. And the amount of people go, oh, yeah, I'm with her. I think, yeah, but so it's all right to be a massive racist because you're a bird that a lot of people would find half attractive. I don't find her attractive at all because I don't find racists attractive. But then, of course, I would say that, wouldn't I? But yeah, no, I think they look down their noses at football. I think they look down at football punters. And I think their ideal customer, if you look at the ENIC, oh, careful, at the ENIC, website.
Well, Freudian slipping in all its glory now.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. If you look at the ENIC website, you'll see that their ideal customer is a version of you, Chris, a blue chip disciple, but unlike you, somebody who doesn't have their brain engaged and wanders around in their enormous chinos saying, yes, I'll have 6 of those, please.
Half of that lot wouldn't walk into the boardroom TikToking. I'm all for it.
You put the TikTok into TikTok. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But no, I think we're going to hell in a handcart. I said it before, but that's why I've pulled the trigger for what it's worth on Frank. And it's not down to this, and it's not down to that. It's down to ENIC. They are the purveyors of all the bad stuff that upsets our hopes and dreams.
I think they're not going to pull the
ball
trigger
back in their court.
I mean, my prediction is the end of the month. However, there is another thought I've had, and I am allowed to have more than one thought, at a time. That shock horror probe is that they won't pull the trigger. A, because of the cost, but B, also because there's no other mug out there.
Oh, listen. We don't need to worry about that because the bulk of the fan base. Now, again, I have to speak with caution here because some people don't understand straightforward language. The bulk of the fan base have been nursed. They've been gently cosseted into a position whereby they think it'll all be okay. And what we're talking about is just gobbledygook, Chinese algebra. The reality is that a lot of people will, with open arms and other limbs, welcome the next guy through the door who will be blinded by the money, not driven by anything else, blinded by the money, because he knows, worst case scenario, if he takes a 3rd tier package down from what Ange walked away with, he's going to be a multimillionaire for life after he has to sit through this garbage. Tony, I had to alarm you, but there's a cat has broken into your house, and I think you should get a firearm. Is there a cat on your windowsill?
Yes, there is a cat on my windowsill. Yes,
is there a cat? Yeah, you want to get rid of that, mate. They're no good.
It's my pussy. I'm having corrective surgery in the morning.
Ew. Corrective surgery on toast. Nice.
Oh, behind you.
It's behind you. Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to send you a firearm.
You're having a stroke. That's what it is.
I'll tell you what. This is the worst Bond villain I've ever seen.
I'm stroking my imaginary pussy.
There's plenty of that going on around your gaff, mate. I'll send you one of these. This is.
You've seen my sex life recently. Oh.
No, this will help you out. It's a little Roman candle. You're supposed to put them in birthday cakes, but they're great fun if you light them and walk around a pub with them in your hand. Unfortunately, I was able to purchase a box of 36.
Daniel would have known exactly how much they cost per unit.
Yeah, exactly. How much per sizzle?
Despite your age, those bog-offs always seem a good idea at the time, don't they?
I just can't stop. Brought to you in association with Latifs of Birmingham. So where do we go from here, gentlemen? I'll tell you something. West Ham, this couldn't come at a sweeter moment, and I didn't think it through at all, but West Ham are my, as people know, bogey team. Don't like them at all. Far more interesting an enemy than Arsenal or anybody else on the radar. They're the reason, if you read, does your rabbi know you're here, that Spurs fans went up the tram line to North London, opposed to watching their supporting their neighbours in West Ham. They're absolute bigoted thugs to a man. And this is, to me, would be a fitting side for us to bin off our latest failed coach to. I mean, West Ham are in a world of pain, not rumoured, but linked heavily, shall we say, with relegation. Just as an apropos nothing, throwing it in, how do you think we're going to get on against West Ham? Because I can't see us beating anybody.
I watched the West Ham Millwall game in the Cup yesterday, and it was proper gash. It was terrible, terrible football. Was it Millwall? Didn't I know? QPR.
QPR, wasn't it? It was QPR.
Yeah, West Ham.
Millwall, it's West Ham Millwall tonight.
No, we're getting confused. It was West Ham QPR in the Cup yesterday.
And it was QPR.
It was terrible. And QPR were probably the better side. And that West Ham side is terrible. But you know, every terrible team that comes to the Tottenham HOTSPUR Stadium walk away with 3 points. So if we start against a terrible team like we did against Aston Villa the other night, it could be over by half time. And that was the annoying thing in that Villa game. The first half was just shocking. We were terrible. And you think if we'd have played with the energy of the second half, the 90 minutes, we'd have fancied our chances perhaps to get something out of that game. But we fly the white flag from the first minute onwards. And there's going to be a toxicity in the stadium. We all already know that there's planned protests that are gathering momentum as a lot of the George Sessions and others, some of the main journalists are picking up and running with this now. I saw something in the Telegraph this morning about it. So there's a lot of additional factors there. And
chickens for KFC.
Well, you saw that not one of the ENIC family were at the Lewis family were at the game on Saturday. Yeah. And you've got Johan Lang looks like he needs putting down. He just sits there all dull and sullen, similar to Scott Munn against Tamworth in the Cup last season. And then 4 places along from him, you got old Vinay, who's almost looking to the gods and hoping that some sort of spaceship sucks him up, as he clearly want to be.
Vinay is starting to resemble an Indian Daniel Levy.
Well, he was always brought in as Levy's number 2. Is this man actually?
He's just.
But
even facially, he's starting to resemble him. Look, the expression on his face is something that's dead inside.
Yeah, that's
the Illuminati.
3 bottles of vodka.
They all look like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
So let's not whiz by the protest, because I love a protest, as you know. Bed sheets and beer cans should be our go-to words here. But can anybody disabuse me of the notion that you don't? What's a really good way of protesting? And I'm just wondering, is it another way, and I'm open to suggestions, or is it holding a protest in a building and then you're very close to their cash registers, which you use? Is that actually, does that technically count as a protest?
I don't think, I get where you're coming from, and I don't think you can fault these guys and girls. They're like us, diehard fans who are just pissed off and had enough of it.
But they're not really diehard fans, are they? Because they're not anti-ENIC. Did Golda Meir not? Did she not tell us that you can't negotiate with someone who's come to kill you? These people are not our friends.
You can't negotiate with terrorists.
No, they are terrorists. They rip the heart out the club, but then you want to have a protest next to their till. Go, ENIC out. Can I have 2 of those, please, mate? Thanks. Cheers.
I think you've got to try and at least make some noise, and noise starts from somewhere. And you've just got to make it uncomfortable. These people are all worried about their asset, and if you can start, look at Paddy Power, where you're getting free advertisements out of them. They live off belittling Tottenham on a weekly basis. Tottenham Hotspur and Man United collectively are the greatest marketing tool Paddy Power could ever have for nothing.
Well, I think Spurs eclipse all of their other marketing tools. I think they've been using us, and I've used the phrase before because it's wonderful. It gets past the algorithm. They've been using us as a urinal.
Mm-hmm.
So every time they feel a little tingle in their tinkle, they lean up against Spurs and relieve themselves. They're not nice people. And bookmakers are useful for gauging market strength, persuasions, blah, 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 all the rest of it. But they do ruin an awful lot of lives. You know, that's the reality. These people are not our friends.
No, I think I'm not going to be critical of the planned protests. I actually applaud them, and I think that it's something that's got to give, and it's worth a go. As we've got to start making these people aware how they're pissing people off and they're in the last chance saloon. So
what I would add though, Chris, and I'm going to throw this in because I'm familiar with the concepts of annoying other people. You wouldn't believe that, you're just going to have to think about it, aren't you? But if you're going to do something on somebody else's private property, which is technically where you are, surely it has to be enormously benign as protests go to be facilitated. Because you can't hold up whatever you want in the street these days under this government, because everybody's got the right to say no, and you might go to prison if we don't like what you've written on your piece of paper. You can be anti a terrorist group and still be arrested or moved on by the police these days. So if you're going to do something now, if you were threatening to, I don't know, be jumping up and down and generally look like a rabble, and perhaps not behave your very best, as you might do at interview, perhaps. Surely, how are they going to do anything that's meaningful on the premises? I just don't get it. I'm not looking to pull holes in it. I'm just saying out loud. I simply do not get it.
The double-edged sword isn't it, that they'll make all this noise, have this protest, but then they'll retreat back to the club bar where they'll all spend £8.50 a pint and have a conversation about what they've achieved or not. So if you're going to live your values and your beliefs, you've got to go the whole way, not put any money into the bar. You've got to think about, actually, I'm not going to put any money into revenue and I'm not going to go and watch the games. If 30,000 people weren't in their seats, which they'd paid for, and the world's media could see all these empty seats, and those same people were outside setting fire to placards, chanting, waving pitchforks around, and loads of nefarious activities, it causes a big problem.
Because to me, you see, you say the pitchforks, setting fire to effigies, general stuff that people do, civil disorder, borderline, that sounds to me like an angry mob, which is a very positive thing. But then going into the stadium, not doing anything that's going to really provoke the stewards, not drop any litter, not speak too loudly, then go and spend money in the tills of the people that you say you want to bring down. That to me is about as meaningful as a puppy staying on its lead sat by your feet. It's, I'm thinking of how do we make the dog look like it's a bit more of a threat? How does it lunge at people?
Thing is, I agree. I understand the rationale that the supporters have and these people want. They just basically want to take it up. They're basically doing what we're doing, but they want to take it to a different, more public domain, if you like. Having said that, I don't think it's going to have any. The only thing that has impact on these spreadsheet crunchers is revenue. Yeah. End of story. That is it. End of story. Once their spreadsheet figures percentages start dropping dramatically, that's when they'll take notice. Unfortunately, given the way the club is run and given the way that things are doing, all the other ventures they've got, etc., I don't know, because I don't look at these accounts in any way, shape, or form, because I'm not that interested in it. I just wonder how much of a percentage of ENIC is actually the football, because they've got the NFL, they've got the concerts, they've got all this sort of stuff. So if they were to then suffer losses, would they then just go, oh, it's all right, we can make those losses up elsewhere, and we don't really give a shite about what's going on in the football because it doesn't really matter to us because we're still making tons of money? So to me, the only way this would have any impact, anything like this have any impact, is by just watching their revenue absolutely fall through the floor, because then they would do something about it because they'd have no choice. That's my thought, anyway.
What I would add there, Tony, is I think you're absolutely onto something. I don't think the fiscal part of the business model would reveal that THFC Football Men's First Team Inc. Limited or whatever is a massive, massive element. But what does sway ENIC to do something is image damage, the public perception. They don't like discord being broadcast. So it's like, when they say, oh, we're going over to Old Trafford, and they're flying a hot air balloon over the stadium that says, Glazers out or whatever. They don't like that. And this is why I think that this business, that there's fans, because to me, you see, this is like hiding something that's camouflaged in a camouflage fabric warehouse. So you've got lots of people dressed as if they're going to a football match, who are going to go to a football match and go, down with that sort of thing. Careful now. I just don't see where the bite is, where the sizzle of the sausage of the protest is. I just don't see it. I think it is literally a needle in a haystack. And I
All of
think they
that
would be
stuff,
better served if they were out on the pavement.
all of that sort of stuff that we're talking about in terms of protest is great for civil unrest, where you want to, make a point to the government of the day or the local authorities or whatever it is in that respect, because they have no choice, because they're public servants. ENIC don't care. They're not interested, or the Lewis family, as we, quite rightly, they don't care, because ultimately this is a small part of their overall business empire.
Correct.
And as long as their overall empire is going great guns, and they're bringing in billions upon billions of pounds of cash every week, what do they care about it? What you say? We're talking about brand. This is a small part of that, and I'm not being funny, but we all know where a lot of the dodgy Joe's money came from, and some of the countries he's screwed over to do it. Does he care about brand? No, he doesn't.
Did you say Patagonia?
No, it's clearing my throat. Sometimes it sounds like that,
Okay.
And allegedly, of course, this is all allegedly, of course. In the grand scheme. Well, obviously, you have access to the greatest legal minds in the universe, so who am I to argue with you? But
yeah, exactly.
But to me,
exactly.
but to me, these people, when it all comes to, I mean, again, we talk about about brand image and all that sort of stuff. This is a guy who was convicted and had to go and agreed a large payoff to the US authorities, admitted what he'd done was wrong. This guy doesn't care about brand. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about anything like that. All he cares about is how much more money can I get stuffed in my coffers.
Uncle Donald thought differently, Tony. He's not a bad man.
Yeah, well, indeed,
you can't argue. You can't argue with the prez.
Yeah. He's told those Iranians, if you pick on those good people, we'll come and cause you a problem.
I'll tell you what, mate. You're going out on a limb there. That window, you could have the SAS coming through that any minute now.
Yeah.
You and your cat will be on a missing poster together on the lamppost of your local town.
Oh, well, what the hell? I've got good life insurance, so what the hell? So
The most concerning thing is 20 days today, the transfer window shuts, 20 days. And how have we addressed any of the massive sinkholes that are appearing under the club? We haven't.
I'll tell you how we've addressed them. We've written return to sender across them.
Yeah, but we got some prepubescent 19-year-old fullback that's coming in. That
19-year-old who's played 34 games, who is an understudy to the main left back.
You like a good Brazilian, though, don't you, Tony?
Well, if you're referring to steak, of course.
No, he was referring to pubic waxing, but each to their own. Each to their own, Tony.
But I can't wax what isn't there.
So I mean, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I can't think of anything.
Nothing. Same shit.
I've just got to say,
don't stay tuned.
Do you know what else pissed me off on Saturday? When
Go
we
on, tell us.
decided to put Dane Scarlett on as a centre forward, but we played him on the wing, where he's never played in his career at all. And you've got murmurings of, oh yeah, Dane Scarlett is showing on the training pitch that he's at home in the Premiership. How has he? He's not played any Premiership minutes and has yet to score a meaningful goal for Tottenham Hotspur. It was just another decision.
If we're going to go a ranting, I'll tell you this: what really boiled my
Pedro Porro. That's
a statement. That's a statement. That is a statement. That's a universal constant, Chris. That's a universal constant. So that's not a problem. I don't even consider that anymore because it's a constant. Is Mickey van der Ven in the presser afterwards with the club numpties? It's going on about, oh, yeah, we know it wasn't very good in the first. Well, why the fuck didn't you do something about it at the time? Why did you just carry on playing like dog shit? Sorry, if you're saying that after the game, you recognised it at the time, but didn't do anything about it. Where is your footballing intelligence? Where is your commitment? All very well doing it in the second half after you've had a rocket shoved up your ass, but that's no good. You're supposed to do it at the time. You're supposed to be leaders. You're supposed to be men. Get on with it and fucking do it.
Hang on. You're sounding like all those people that have emerged in the last, say, 36 hours who agreed with me. And I saw them splattered everywhere. You're supposed to take anything that a footballer does off the park as an act of absolute bravery. I mean, the amount of people are saying, brass balls, where were your brass balls when you were on the pitch?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no. I'm going to make an impassioned speech. I'm going to make an impassioned Instagram post. Listen, for those of us over the age of 12 who aren't fans of ENIC and are fans of intelligence and, you know, less about the ENIC branding, this isn't brass balls. This is showboating. This is shopping for dopamine hits. Oh, everybody says I've got really brassy balls and I'm powerful and no, you're not. You're not. You're a chimpanzee. You're a moron. Nobody gives a damn. Instagram. Oh, I think we should. Nobody cares. Act like a man on the grass. We want gladiators, soldiers, men, people with spines, not people who can compose a pithy letter to the gas board.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. These, honestly, I've got no time for these people. They're bums. You know all of them bums.
Do you know what we need? We need a team of 11 Pellinias, because that man cutting 3 people at the weekend. That's what it's all about. That tackle, Morgan Rogers. Men. We don't want
Pellina got embroiled. I think it was him got embroiled with that silliness with the Villa player. Where, you know, he's trying to sort of lean his head into it. I find that sort of stuff tedious, of course, because I find everything tedious. But at least he did it on the park. We didn't get an Instagram letter telling us his inner thoughts and feelings, which nobody gives a about. Nobody cares. Do it on the pitch.
Sorry, that tackle on Morgan Rogers was brilliant. Absolutely stonkingly good challenge. Referees now, and I speak as somebody who obviously has refereeing experience, not at that level, and so therefore it doesn't necessarily matter. But as a referee, I'd have looked at that all day long. Brilliant tackle.
Tony V's a wanker.
Who's a bastard in a black? Who's a bastard in a black?
You baldy.
Mate, what I do in my spare time is none of your concern. Thank you very much. So, you know.
that was Tony V.
That tackle was brilliant. That was an absolutely A1, good old-fashioned Ron Chopper Harris tackle. And even today, that I think that should have still been allowed. Because I'm sorry, he got the ball, and Morgan Rogers, being the wet willy that he is, just didn't like it. Well, he likes to put it about a bit. He likes to put the old elbow in all over the place. I'm sorry, not having it. And that to me was Pellini in a nutshell. But if I was Pellini, I'd be looking at all the others around me going, I don't want to be involved with these bunch of vaginas. Why do I want to get involved with them?
Do you think that's what happened to Brennan Johnson? Do you think he was vaginaed out of the dressing room at Spurs?
No, there's too many. You're surrounded by too many of them for that to be an issue, mate. That's the problem.
Do you think that poor little Brennan wasn't treated inclusively enough by his teammates?
I think it's when he asked for a gender neutral training room, a few hints were dropped.
Gender neutral footballs.
Old Brennan Johnson, who's now can claim that he was knocked out of the FA Cup by a Phoenix club who didn't exist 5 years ago. Just keeps on getting better and better for that boy, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing I want to get off my chest, sorry, but I've been
go for it, Chris. Go for it, mate.
Screaming about changing
tactics. As Delia said, let's be having you, as Delia said.
Spence at right back. They brought Spence on at right back, and he was freaking useless, wasn't he? He couldn't pass a single ball to any of his teammates, and he was another whose head was in the clouds, alongside that complete buffoon, Bissouma, who pictures emerged over the weekend of him in the back of a car with 3 or 4 dolly birds.
I think the phrase, sorry, point of information, Mr. B. I think the phrase there is pictured in the back of a car with a handful of brasses. Anybody who believes they were close personal friends of anybody wants their checkup from the neck up. Yeah. They were all on the gear. And they were all being paid by the hour. We can do you a deal if you want us for all night.
Yeah.
Right, and on that bombshell. No, so anyway, seriously though, what do you think? What do you think we're going to do against Aston Villa? It's West Ham next, isn't it?
West Ham. It's West Ham. Yeah, on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching it because it is tonight. I think I'm right. They're playing Millwall, aren't they, in the cup?
No, we had this.
No, they played yesterday. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had this conversation. Come on, listen, mate. Those Alzheimer's meds are not working, are they? They really
Are
are
we
not
nearly
working.
there yet?
Come on, old man. We'll lead you to the toilet. Don't worry, mate. That's
Well,
fine.
I'm
That's
glad the
fine.
pub isn't opening till 4 because I put that on the board. Oh, it's the under 21s. It's Wimbledon versus. Goodness me, I've lost my mind. I put Millwall versus West Ham. It's actually Wimbledon West Ham under 21s.
Oh, there you go.
There you
wait.
go,
Somebody
kids.
come in expected to see it. It won't be on.
It's
You'll
all,
have a
it's,
trip out
it's,
to
all, it's all
Iceland
part of this. It's all part of that rampant professionalism age that you demonstrate on a weekly basis.
No, absolutely. I mean, anybody think I did this for a living? Yeah, we play. Well, they say the pub doesn't open until 4, so it gives me a bit of wriggle room to get back and onto the board. Liverpool is it Liverpool Barnsley or Burnley? Is it FA Cup? I think that's on TNT. But yeah, Tottenham West Ham 3 o'clock kickoff.
Something else that I feel that I've got to raise.
Uh-oh.
And I know that they're not close to your heart, H, and you'll have a view. But
Yes.
when is the club going to answer the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust questions? Because I felt that they were excellently raised and excellently valid, and it was a well-written response. So
I'd just say briefly, as fascinating as the Supporters Trust are, and I don't think I'm alone in regarding them as enticingly fascinating people, isn't their remit, if you look at their core structure thing of their reason d'etre, isn't it about off-pitch stuff?
But it's now spread on pitch because of the shower shite that we're all.
No. You see, this thing is that's the difference. You see, and I think under international law as well as British law, there's a part where you're on the pitch, that's the grassy stuff, and then you're on the sort of astroturfy bit by the side. They're on the side. I mean, I get there are questions to be asked, but I don't really think that people who charge people a tenner for doing nothing apart from giving directions to the disabled toilets are in a position to exist. I think they're shambolic. Yes, they've got a right to ask the questions they want, but in actual fact, the setup of their business model, whatever you want to call it, their mission statement is off the grass issues. And they're forever mumbling about transfers. They're never going to be given any commercially sensitive information. And I would just say, why bother? My
point is that the club owe it to the public and the wider fan base to answer those questions. Because at the moment, Vinay's just burying his head under the floorboards, isn't he? And when he first came in,
I think there's a truth in
that he put out. There was the videos about how ambitious, the videos where he was discussing his favourite wine alongside Daniel Levy. Then the video sat on the couch with Paratici and Lang. But since it started going a bit wrong and smelly, he's not been anywhere to be seen, is he? And it's the lack of transparency coming out of the club that's harming them at the moment.
Chris, the radio silence.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not a good thing, is it?
The radio silence is the answer, Chris. That is their answer.
But when's that ever solved anything? Yeah.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But that's the level of contempt which the owners and the board hold the fans in. That's the level of contempt that they have for us. As long as we're dupes and keep paying the money, they are never going to listen to us because they have basically said, you have to pay this much to watch our product, and we're still paying to watch their product. Until that changes, nothing is going to change from their perspective. Radio silence is all you're going to get, or when they do respond, it will be in grossly infuriating and ingracious platitudes, which mean absolutely nothing. That is all they're interested in.
Well, the tickets for Villa on Saturday in that FA Cup were 30 quid a throw, and our attendance that was something like 57,000. And historically, we've been at the 62.5 mark. So, yes, it was Saturday night. Yes, it was on BBC. But you've still got a reduction of around 5,000 match day attendees. And they're blind to these things. They need to wake up and read the room, which they're not. But the whole thing's just shambolic.
No, I think it's completely shambolic. I don't think they really give a damn what we think. All I will say, and it's not in defence of ENIC at all, But if I was running a football club, I wouldn't be running out a view from the boardroom press conference under any circumstances to provide free content for newspapers.
Did you see that?
Listen, you have internal dialogues within any business, and it's stuff that only gets shared within, say, half a dozen people. Right? That's how a normal business operates. I don't think they're doing anything abnormal at this stage, but I do feel because of the huge, and this is where it's different between football and real life, shall we say, like laws apply in real life that don't apply to football businesses. I think because of the colossal emotional demand, we talk about Spurs in a very different way than perhaps we speak about our energy suppliers or the brand of car we drive. There isn't really that affiliation, that association, that love, dare I use the word, that you, because it isn't handed down from your grandfather to your father to you, which football is. That's the reality. I mean, there are these oddballs, and God knows, I think we've got enough of them in the fan base who've literally picked a side, so they've got something to discuss at the water cooler. But generally speaking, we're so emotional about football, and rightly so. But I don't think they pick up on it at all, and that's why I refer to them. I constantly go on about them being LinkedIn hires because they're robots.
But this proves how disingenuous the whole thing is, because when it was all coming to light about Levy and what have you. And then the Lewis family children started piping up, and they were all thinking, they were saying these things and what have you. They got rid of Levy. But the only reason they got rid of Levy is because he was stupid enough to get found out. Otherwise, they would have just carried on. They wouldn't have changed a thing. So they're now going. The only reason they're now they said they were going to change things was because it was a good thing to do to keep people paying their money. But they just carried on doing exactly what they did before. There's been no change. And I'm sorry, the Lewis family ultimately are responsible for this, regardless of all these hires and the LinkedIn hires, blah, 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 blah. It is them who actually hold the owners of the club. They have decided to just basically allow the madness to continue because it's in their best interest to do so whilst the money's flowing in.
No, couldn't agree more. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look, they could go out on a massive splurge and bring some real, eye-catching quality in before the window closes. Well, there you go. No. I think the mood in the camp, the mood in the room is, no, they won't. And more to the point, I think that those people, again, and it's happened again because we get fed by the press office. And the trouble is we live... The infantilization of all of this drives me up the bloody wall. Somebody tells Alistair Gold something and it's, I'm hearing. No, you're not hearing. You've been told. You've been told by some sweaty idiot in the call centre of the press office that they're going to throw 150 million quid at the problem. If they do, wonderful. But I don't see it happening. It doesn't look like it happening. It doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
They only tell him what they want him to release. So it looks good from a PR perspective. It's got nothing to do with, I'm hearing. No, inside sources are the Woodwards and Bernsteins of the world who actually dig deep and find out the real shit, as opposed to the Alistair Golds of the world, who are just basically a mouthpiece for the club. The real investigative stuff has died on this club because nobody can get inside it because they've got it banged up tighter than a drum, and they won't allow anything to come out that's negative.
Have you noticed how Chris Cowlin once had some access to the club and he used to feed off that? Now that's clearly dried up. He's turning against them and trying to be vocal against certain elements of them, which makes me laugh beyond all belief. He's throwing the teddies out the pram. He's not got the access to pre-season tours, interviews with players and all the other little bits he got. Now he's trying to start making a noise about Frank being a suitable coach, calling out the club. It's funny, isn't it?
Well,
sorry.
I mean, as far as Chris Cowlin is concerned, I wouldn't know which end of him to set fire to first. I mean, you're talking about a piece of kindling that speaks. So I just,
You have a way with words, H. You have a way with words. I must admit, that's probably the best thing I've ever described.
I don't want to accuse him of having a medical condition, but I think there's enough of us in the audience to see that him and the We Are Tottenham TV dweebs, they're all related, right? They're all related. They've all got bits missing from their brain. I don't wish to be unkind, but I can't. My brain doesn't even compute. When I see them, I scroll past. Just like I'm also, I don't drink from the toilet bowl, for example. I can be really thirsty, but there's always something in my mind. I can never work out what it is that tells me that's probably not a great idea. So I won't take any guidance, any of their thoughts. Not interested.
Talking about missing brains and brain damage, Mr. Mercedes, Mr. Mercedes Netflix, well worth a watch for anybody bored out there.
Oh, okay. I'll have a look for that.
Some of the recent comments have said that people are here for the serial killers, and we've been a little bit serious of late. So,
well, the serial killer thing is good. Yeah. But I felt we sort of peaked. You know, it was like it's
that happens to a man of your age, H. It's not unusual to peak too early.
No. I don't peak at all. I'm so heavily medicated that just physically is impossible. But nice try.
Believe it or not, Chris, this is H after his antidepressants.
Oh, it's not antidepressants. I can cheer up very quickly under the right circumstances. But no.
There's medication for that too, H. There's medication for that as well.
Absolutely. But I'm medicated within inches of my own life.
Has the table collapsed on any poor unsuspecting filly of late, or is that
no idea what you're talking about? I'm not really into that language. Frankly, smacks to me a little bit of derogatory and misogynistic. I don't even hear the true you when you're speaking those sorts of words, Chris.
He's not even talking about Madeline anymore. That's how things are going.
Oh, she died. Yeah. That's what she's dead. You don't discuss dead children. That's just tasteless.
So transfer of the day would appear to be Naheem Zahawi has defected from the Tories to reform.
That is the transfer of the day. Well, they're gonna sleigh ride it into office. And don't forget stuff that is regarded as unpalatable, which loads of people like to think certain things are unpalatable. Brexit, Trump, blah, blah. They tend not to tell you the complete truth. So that's why those two things happen, which the bookmakers said that they wouldn't. You know, that's how it goes, kids. So I'm looking forward. Well, not really looking forward. I'm not looking forward to anything. But the idea of a reform government, I just think it's inevitable. Absolutely inevitable. People are sick of the way the country's been run.
It's inevitable only because there isn't another choice at the moment. Because nobody trusts nobody. They gave Labour a chance and they fucked it up. The Conservatives just couldn't agree on what they were supposed to be doing at all. I just find it laughable. That somebody who is what I really despise about this country, about billionaires in particular, or politicians. They're all billionaires and millionaires who are telling us how we should all go through austerity. Yet they don't have to worry about austerity, do they? Because they never pay any fucking taxes.
I'm surprised Daniel Levy hasn't found himself in the Labour Party by now.
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of places that Daniel Levy could be found before this is all over. We've got a lot to get through, but I'm sure he'll be found somewhere.
So what else have we failed to call out, or what other deep burning issues around Tottenham? There are so many.
Well, deep burning issues, you mean as in like the lack of transfer targets? Like there's literally nobody, where there's no scuttlebutt coming out about anything about anybody whatsoever, apart from this guy from Santos from 19 years old.
Whilst Thomas Lang remains at the club, Johan Lang remains at the club. Why does that surprise you one little bit? Oh,
I tell you what I loved seeing this morning. I only looked at it briefly, barely raised a smile. No, Tony, it's not because of that. It's because I didn't find it that funny. Was Conor Gallagher was re-linked with us again. I mean, just do us a favour. Please.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Where was that? Which particular brand of news outlet was that from?
It was just some rubbish. It's doing a few rounds or two. Oh, hang on. It might have been Graham Bailey of the recently defunct The Boot Room is now filling the Team Talk pages with his inventions. Voices in his head.
Put out last night that when you read it, it made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Graham Bailey's last night, the one he put out, which made absolutely no sense at all.
Well, it contradicted himself within the space
Yeah.
of 2 sentences. Completely contradicted himself in space of 2 sentences. You know, it's like the guy doesn't have a coherent thought in his head.
And
Well,
it makes
don't
me
forget-
laugh that the Lewis family allegedly put another 100 million in. We've pulled in 35 million from the Brennan Johnson sale. We were linked with Eze, Semenyo, Savinio. Yet we haven't even got plan B through the door. And the left hasn't improved. The right's weakened because of the Kudus injury. Now we've lost Bentancur in centre midfield. We're likely to have lost Richarlison for God knows how long. And what are we doing about it? Seemingly nothing at all.
Well, I personally, I think losing Charlison is a bit like finding a tenner. I mean, he's of no use to man nor beast. Yes, he's our top scorer or whatever the hell it is, but compared to what? Contextually speaking, he's a waste of space. So forgive me, but it's just like I say, I don't drink from the toilet bowl. I don't wait for Richarlison.
I just think HOTSPUR Spa and Hotel Limited needed some more impatience, and that's where they.
Well, he's certainly an outpatient at the moment. I'll give you that.
What's the saying? Failing to plan is planning to fail. Well, we're certainly doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think another maybe corporate motto we could extend to the ENIC organisation is wankers, as profoundly put by our man in the Legend film. But no, I'm sick to death with this lot. I think we're gonna see Thomas Frank go sooner rather than later. I think we're going to struggle to beat anybody. That includes West Ham, and. This was a run of games, don't forget. We've been through a run of games, which should have been a kind of a bit of a gimme. We haven't played anybody that's hugely difficult. And the first team we did bump into, who you could argue were a bit difficult, was Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost. So West Ham may be a draw if the footballing gods are not, pissed up and laughing their heads off. I don't know. But
the only way we'll win
struggling to see any promise.
The only way we'll win that is West Ham have to be even shockingly worse than we are. God knows we're shocking at the most of the time. That's the only reason we will win it. If
I would love to see West Ham relegated. It would make my millennium. But I don't see Spurs being part and parcel of that set.
What can I say? What can I say, H? I'll be somebody from Tottenham will be wearing their stethoscope because the doctor's likely to be in town.
Well, we've got Burnley away after, so West Ham 18th, Burnley are 19th. So there's 2 games that we really, definitely, almost certainly, surely, plausibly, possibly gotta win, but we won't win. I just can't see. There's 6 points up for grabs there. 6 points up for grabs, and I just don't see it. We're in 14th. We've got a goal difference of +3, and we've lost. We've lost 3 out of our last 6, and won one game out of our last 6. It simply isn't good enough, and it's not good enough to keep Frank in post. And I can just see us. We are an open door. We're a welcome mat at the moment.
But at least he's getting paid £8 million a year to deliver success on the pitch.
Nah, pay him. Listen, you could pay him £80 million a year. It doesn't matter because what is his goal scoring ferocious save all duo? Solanke, who's utterly unproven, and Richarlison, who's utterly unproven.
Hey, you're forgetting about Mathis Tel being in the French World Cup team at this rate, so he's looking for.
Matthias Tel, don't forget, has been linked with every other shit side in Europe, and the sources, the HP source, are telling us that Tottenham are reluctant to let him go. This is a fantasy role play we're witnessing here. No, nobody's interested in Tel. He's a bum. Absolute bum, championship rubbish.
But it just shows you what's indicative, not only within the squad, but within the club as a whole. Because even if the squad is they're going through some challenges and what have you, and we can certainly say they're going through some challenges, but 90% of it is of their own making. But if they felt that the club as a whole, there was money being invested to actually make things better, then they'd be more likely to stick around. You've even got Mickey, who's basically gone to sleep for most of the season, yet he was probably our best player, arguably, saying he's not going to sign a new contract. And he probably
gone because he's
exactly.
He's the next one off, isn't he?
Exactly. He's going to go. He's going to go because he has the power to do so. Because again, players have all the power. So if he just decides that's it, I'm pulling up the drawbridge and I'm not going to bother anymore, he's going to go, and that is it. And we cannot afford to lose players like him, regardless of how they are doing collectively.
I can see him going to Liverpool.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, to replace Van Dijk.
Why wouldn't he go to Liverpool? I haven't heard one coherent argument that suggests that he'd be better off with us or anybody else. I think he's just simply going to go to Liverpool.
Maybe we could ask them to take Porro as a free transfer as well. Anything to get him out.
Your love for Porro is quite frankly bringing down the vibe within this podcast.
Nick, as was said by Donald Sutherland in Kelly's Heroes, I don't like it with those negative waves.
And if there's anybody who's got a plethora of great quotes, you should get a job working for IMBD. You know that. Right, gentlemen, we've done the hour mark. We've smashed it. We've gone over the line. We can't believe our luck, and we're heading into the second hour. I think any more for any more?
No.
I'll just finish with my initial message. Fuck ENIC. And fuck the Lewises and fuck them all.
Yeah, and Vinay
Drat and double drat.
Lang out, out, Frank out, and Sheila the cleaner out, because they're all rubbish.
And I would like to say to all of our valuable listeners, don't forget to shake it all about. That's it for now. Good luck. Keep it Tottenham.